Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Let's get into the most important stimulus check news first. Joe Biden does not want to include Medicare expansion in the new infrastructure bill. Many Democrats in Congress have also disagreed on how to fund Biden's infrastructure bill and how more Americans can get more stimulus payments soon. If you want to know the latest news about the fourth stimulus check, stay until the
Talking about here is a tax on billionaires. It's not about raising the rates. Look at somebody like Jeff Bezos. What does he have in the income? $83,000 a year. It's less than a Boston public school teacher. Raising the rate is not going to cause Jeff Bezos to pay a penny more. What we need is a tax that focuses on the wealth of the richest Americans. And that's what Senator Sinema and I have been talking about. Same sort of thing on corporations. It's not that I don't want to raise rates. We may have different views on raising rates, but listen to the heart of it. The heart of it is about making sure that the corporations who aren't paying anything. Look at Amazon. Declares $10 billion in book profits, pays nothing in taxes. It's making sure they pay. And that's what the bill that Senator King and I have, and that we've been talking about with Senator Sinema. So this is about making sure we get, in effect, a wealth tax, a minimum tax, a book tax on giant corporations, and then empower the IRS to go after the tax cheats.
And that was my question about corporations. I get what you're saying in terms of billionaires. Let me read you a quote from House Ways and Means Chairman Neal, talking about all this discussion about taxing wealth. He writes, when you do rates, because he's in favor of raising the rates, when you do rates, they're efficient and they're easily implemented, unlike taxing this and taxing that. Rates are simple by nature. People understand them. Doesn't he have a point?
Look, rates are simple, but the problem is they don't reach what we need to reach. Raising the income tax rate does not reach Jeff Bezos.
We have families around our nation. It won't be easy, but we can't give up. We have families throughout our nation, in this very community included, who would do anything and everything to give their children the opportunities that they rightly deserved. Parents and families who see the capacity of the children, who see their dreams, who look in their eyes and see the twinkle, who nurture their ambitions. Let's support those families. Let's have a system and a society that rewards the hard work that takes in every way we know we have the capacity to do. That's what this is about. And we have a moment right now to actually get this done. The members of the United States Congress right now in their hands, within reach, have an opportunity to lift up our families and our children, to see and acknowledge with humility what has not been working.
Democratic lawmakers have been working to narrow differences on Biden's legislative agenda. Over the past few days, lawmakers in the House and Senate have made great progress on negotiations. This means we could see this new infrastructure bill pass very soon. Steny Hoyer just said that Democrats will aim to bring votes on the trillion-dollar infrastructure package. It's an aggressive timeline for the final movement on two pieces of legislation that make up the core of President Biden's legislative agenda. Hoyer said the House will aim to consider the bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act this work period. And Nancy Pelosi just told reporters something about President Biden. Nancy Pelosi told reporters that she is very optimistic that a stimulus package can pass both chambers of Congress and it will come together soon. And Democrats have been sparring for months over the timing and content of two major spending bills. That's the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation bill. Members of the Progressive Caucus say they will vote against the infrastructure bill if it comes up in the House before an agreement and a vote are reached on the reconciliation bill. But centrist Democrats like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have expressed their concern with the price tag of the original package. Lawmakers in Biden are now aiming for what was originally a $3.5 trillion reconciliation proposal. That's to be closer to $2 trillion, and that's a deal within sight. And here's what Bernie Sanders is saying about this, folks. Now we also have Bernie Sanders telling reporters that the expansion of Medicare to include dental, hearing, and vision should be included with President Biden's bill. Biden previously said that it wouldn't reach for the spending bill to include the Medicare expansion due to opposition from Joe Manchin and Sinema. But Sanders wrote on Twitter that the expansion of Medicare is one of the most popular and important provisions in the entire bill. Sanders told reporters it is beyond comprehension that there is any member in the country, in the United States Congress, who is not prepared to vote to make sure that we have to lower prescription costs. I agree with President Biden, and I do agree with Bernie Sanders. More stimulus payments definitely necessary, folks.
On the president's climate agenda. So yesterday, Corinne seems to suggest that should CEPP fail to be included in the reconciliation bill, executive action is an option. Do I have that correctly? Do I understand that correctly, first of all? And then second, should his climate agenda fail in Congress, whether CEPP or other components, can we expect executive action, some sort of executive order before the president's trip to Europe so that he may have a stronger message on the global stage on climate?
Well, I think it's important to note that some of the progress the president's made to date, some has been executive action, like rejoining the Paris Agreement, but some has been simply by working with leaders in the auto industry to bring them together to agree upon shared investments in the electric vehicles industry. So there's a lot of ways that the president will continue to work, use the levers of his power to make sure we are reaching his bold and ambitious goals. And we've talked a little bit in here about the rhodium study from the other day, which showed that there are a lot of different paths forward to reach those goals. Some of them legislative, some of them through actions he can take as president, some of them through working with the private sector and other leaders who share his commitment to addressing the climate crisis.
Closing that option. My second question.
I actually don't think that's the case. So just to be clear, what was your question? Just to be clear for the record here.
Action before the president leaves for Europe next week.
I think what I was giving for you is a contextual answer on how we're going to achieve our climate objectives, which is, of course, what he's going to go to Paris. Paris, we're not going there, but what, it was like a little, I wish. What he's going to talk about when he's in Glasgow. And I think what leaders will understand is that there are a lot of paths to get there. This is a president who's